Hello, my name is Jason Van Brackle, and this is a Zarf release video for version 0.22.0 through 0.22.2. First, we'll talk about some of the new features in 0.22. We'll also talk about the fixes and dependency updates. We'll demo the new experimental UI, and I'll send contact information for you to get in touch with us as you work with Zarf. So, first and foremost, new features. We now have the ability to support external Git and external registries. So you can have your, instead of just having everything hosted inside of Zarf for fully air-gapped scenarios, you can use your own registries to bootstrap Zarf and to support your packages. There's now a native Windows binary for all of the Windows users. There's support for external configuration files using the open source project Viper. So that's now built into Zarf, so you can have external configuration files in YAML, in JSON, and other formats that Viper supports. We now have a command to list in Zarf, as well as to remove packages from a Zarf cluster. And then, in addition to supporting Git branches, Git repositories, Git tags, we also now support Git individual commit hashes as well, if you're using a hash-based CI/CD system. We've added an await parameter, which is useful for eventual consistency. We support local home charts for package creation. There's some new metadata added for variable and constants within Zarf. So, init packages are now version controlled. This is important. This is a breaking change. We had to do this for changes we're making so that we have a Zarf API. There'll eventually be a Zarf API that you can talk to directly. This is a change in process. We did that so that we can support the new experimental UI. And I'll show off the new experimental UI as part of this demo video. In addition, in .1, we have VS Code schema validation available. There'll be a video on that at a later time. In 2, we've added a tool to generate PKI pairs. If we want to see other improvements, you can go to the GitHub page for Zarf, and we'll look at releases. So we've talked mostly about features here, but if you look at the bug fixes and other things that have changed, like you can see here the generate PKI command, you can see renovate. So anything marked renovate is where we have had automation pick up a new version of a dependency. We've run our unit tests against it to make sure it works, and we've allowed that to be committed to our code base or merged to our code base. And then generally for our larger changes, you'll see a breaking changes here. We mentioned that earlier with the version control for our init files, new features, bug fixes, development. So these are areas like under the covers of Zarf, or we might swap out a tool within Zarf, or it might be a CI/CD change of this project itself. We'll list doc changes, and then a long list of dependency updates. These get pretty long when we go a little while between changes, but that's where you can find all the different changes. With that, let's do a quick demo of the experimental UI, because that's not in our documentation. So I'm going to open a terminal window, and let's get started. Let's make this a little bigger for you all. All right, full screen. So first and foremost, we'll need a Kubernetes cluster. I'm going to use K3D here. And that'll take a moment or so to create a cluster. I'm going to fast forward through areas of the video where things take a little while, just for brevity's sake and to respect your time. All right, now we have a cluster. We have our terminal open. Let's show you where the Zarf, let's actually initialize Zarf in our system. So we're going to do a Zarf init. Now, in this case, I'm downloading the init from the internet. I already have one on this machine. I've done it a few times just for speed's sake. And now Zarf is going to install all the, Zarf is going to install all the bits into Kubernetes. And again, I'll fast forward through this for you. Okay, our Zarf deployment is now complete, and let's open up our UI. So our experimental features are behind a dev submenu. So if I go to, let's clear the screen, Zarf, dev, UI. And here our Zarf UI pops up. It sees our cluster, the deployed packages to the cluster. Now, keep in mind, this is experimental, and this is, things are broken here. Expect things to be broken here. As we continue to work on this, as new releases come out, we'll do additional updates to this demo, not this video specifically, but more updates to show off new features in the UI as they come up. So with that, if you'd like to get a hold of us, well, if you'd like to get a hold of me personally, I am at JVB, out on the Kubernetes Slack, the CNCF Slack, the Rancher Slack, a bunch of different Slacks. So generally, if I'm part of a Slack, you'll find me there. That's most likely to be me or somebody impersonating me, but it should be me. But I'm out on the Kubernetes Slack pretty much all the time. On Twitch, I'm Jason Van Brackle as well. When I prepare videos like this, usually I'll practice or I'll put together my demos, try out new features, new integrations, live on Twitch just to have a conversation. So if you want to follow me there, I would certainly appreciate it. If you want to get a hold of the Zarf team, zarf.dev, GitHub/DefenseUnicorn/Zarf, or the Zarf channel on the Kubernetes Slack. And then if you want to get a hold of Defense Unicorns directly, hit us up on Twitter or on LinkedIn. So with that, thank you for your time, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye now.